let's leave our Milky Way galaxy behind, folks, and head off to the galaxy far, far away. The latest episode of The Mandalorian did not pump the brakes at all. Instead, it put the pedal to the Beskar metal with a Robert Rodriguez directed shootout aptly titled Chapter 14, The Tragedy. Now, if you haven't seen this week's episode yet, this is your spoiler warning. We'll give you time to mute in 3, 2, 1. Okay, anything beyond this point is your fault. You know what you did. It was in the description. Like, come on, you did this to yourself. You have plenty of time. Cancel your plans. Anyway, at long last, after 40 years of empty promises, Boba Fett finally kicked exactly as much ass as we hoped he would, both in and out of his armor. And we got confirmation about a long-time question about Boba and his dad Jango, as well as more clues to Moff Gideon's master plan. It was a shorter episode overall, but one that wasted no time in giving us thrilling fight scenes, exploding spaceships, and some serious mortal peril for the wee baby Grogu. So my question to the panel is, what were your reactions to this episode and your thoughts on Robert Rodriguez's directing style? And Dorian, let's start with you on this one.
So like me coming into this personally, I wasn't not the biggest Star Wars fan like in general. And I feel like after watching this episode, I feel like I had that aha, like I finally like I understand like everything in the Star Wars, I understand why like there's diehard fans about it. Like I had that little click inside me. I was like, am I a Star Wars fan like diehard now? Like Robert Rodriguez did something to me, man. I don't understand. Like that episode was so good. But I didn't realize that I just clicked play. I didn't realize that the time. I didn't realize it was a shorter episode. So here we are, baby Grogu gets kidnapped. I'm like, all right, Mando Boba Fett about to go get him. Let's go. I'm at the edge of my seat, and then the credits come. When I tell you I was about to run up to Disney Plus's office, I was so mad. I've never been that mad about a credit ending that quick, bro. I was like, no, how you gonna take Baby Yoda away from me like that? Oh man, I mean Baby Grogu. I don't want to. That's his name. I got to be respectful to his name, Baby Grogu. But
Look,
man, that was such a
Baby
good
Yoda
episode.
will always be an acceptable term for him. But Grogu, we'll try to remember his name. They just dropped it on us. He's Grogu now. Everyone, say hello to Grogu. But you know that someone at Disney Plus is feverishly speculating and trying to engineer a scenario where Baby Groot and Baby Grogu can just hang out and pal around. Maybe they'll do like a what if scenario where like Groot is a force tree from wherever Poe Dameron was from. But I'm curious. I think the big reveal in this episode, not just the return of the amazing Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand, the Imperial sharpshooter that we saw Left 4 Dead in season 1, but also getting full confirmation that it is in fact Tamira Morrison as Boba Fett, and just finally getting to see them deliver on that promise. So what did you think about Boba Fett's appearance and the revelation that they are in fact true Mandalorians? Preeti, let's start with you on this one.
Oh, I loved it. I was, Boba Fett's never been my favorite character. I feel like he's a lot of hype and not a lot of follow through, but all of the follow through in this episode, every fight scene, every moment, I thought was just it's more interesting than the character has been in decades. And so it brought, I obviously like when you watch the Clone Wars and all of that, you have this like long history of Boba Fett, and you see like him and as his like child bounty hunter years and going forward. And this seems like such a wonderful way to bring him into the fold as a character that we're going to root for, like not as someone who's hunting Han Solo, not as someone who's like angry at Mace Windu, like not as this like frustrating like filler episode of the Clone Wars. So it's really fun to see now that he's going to be helping us get the poor baby. I'm so upset about it. This is like the most tense episode I think we've had of The Mandalorian, where it was just like the minute Robert Rodriguez's name came up, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, like, yeah, okay, sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and Fennec together, and yeah, the Mandalore stuff, which is I think one of the most interesting pieces, obviously, of a show called The Mandalorian. But Mandalore is another thing. Like I saw this thing that was like The Mandalorian is a show about a side character, but that's what we've been getting from Mandalore for over the course of all of the like new canon for Star Wars, is just bits and pieces of lore that we have to assemble and build together. And so this is just another piece of the puzzle of the Mandalore history that I'm super excited to learn more about.
Yes, it's nice to see them give us actual Mando lore for a change because like you said, we've known just bits and pieces about this overarching story that feels so intertwined in the
Hmm.
grander Skywalker saga of it all. And I do love that. I've heard people compare it to like almost like an open world RPG where like he's
Hmm.
this character who's basically on a series of side quests that's incidental to the main story, and they're just like, but there's they're trying to clone this dead emperor over there. Don't you want to know more about that? He's like,
And he's
no,
like,
I'm
nope.
trying to find my son a private tutor. Please leave me alone. So it's
Mando's Honda Civic got blown up. I'm so upset.
the Lego group is sweating right now. You don't need to spend like $600 on a replica of the Razor Crest. You can just like pour out a bunch of Lego bricks onto a pile and light them on fire, and guess what? You have a screen accurate representation of the Razor Crest. I was genuinely shocked when that happened. Mando
Hmm.
cannot catch a break, but it was also the rule of threes when he blew up the other two ships, so a third one had to explode, I guess. But yeah, I was kind of surprised because that ship kind of felt like it was on its way to like Millennium Falcon icon status. So it gave me respect, a newfound respect for Star Wars and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and what they're willing to do with these characters. It makes it feel like nothing is kind of sacred. There's no real plot
Hmm.
armor there, even though it was just a ship. But Kyle, I want to get your take on this. What did you think about Boba Fett's appearance and this episode's implications as we move forward?
So one of the things that I've always loved about this show is that they've and actually the Clone Wars and Rebels also, but is they've taken things that are no longer canon in the EU, the legends, and made them recanalize them, like Thrawn and other characters like that. And one of the things that was from way back, one of the first Star Wars books I ever read was Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and it was just little like short stories about all the bounty hunters. And you got so much about what Boba Fett was. He was a very noble character, and hated the spice trade, thought it was drug dealing and stuff like that, and was like very. I think there's a scene where like he's with Leia, and when she's like a slave of Jabba the Hutt, and he's just like, he's like, don't worry about it. I'm not. You don't have to worry about improper things for me, kind of thing. And it was just like, oh, so this is the character that he is, or whatever. And so what I think is really great about this is that he goes out as such a joke in Return of the Jedi, and it's become a joke for such a long time. This show and Clone Wars have spent such a long time building up the armor, basically making the armor a story, and Boba Fett just being the character who started that, and then they finally in this episode brought it back around. So it's like, no, he is a great character, and he just never got the focus in the movies or anything else. And so, like Tamir Morrison's fantastic, and I love the fact that it's like an honor bound thing. He's like, I made a promise to you to get this the child safe, and we're gonna live up to that. And just the idea of Din Djarin and Boba Fett teaming up is just like, this is exactly what you wanted. The second you saw Din Djarin, the first Mandalorian trailer, you go, this is what a Boba Fett show should have been like. And now we get to see what Boba Fett himself is actually like on the show. And I think that's super great.
Yeah, the fact that we also got to see just him kicking ass with a gothy stick as well
Yeah.
as showing
So
off
good.
everything his armor's capable of. I see Bruce Paulson in the chat saying knee rockets for the win, which is awesome. Like, it's one of those things you forget about unless you're just like remembering old EU books and action
Yeah.
figures. His knee pad has a rocket launcher in it. And at one point in the EU, it had poison darts with neurotoxin on them, but I think that would have been needlessly cruel for the scenario there. So I'm glad they just stuck with rockets. Sometimes you got to blow stuff up. Yeah, it's nice to see it recasts him as this sort of relentless survivor who is doing what it takes to eke out an existence in a hostile galaxy that has scattered his people to the winds, has taken his father's life, and he is just trying to like. He even echoes his father Django, a line from the original. I'm blanking on the exact phrase of the moment. He's like, "I'm just a simple man making my way through the galaxy." But I was just like, wow, I owe Boba Fett an apology. I've just been clowning on this dork for getting dunked on by a temporarily blind Han Solo and knocked into an eldritch monster for years. But here he is living up to his promise.
Well, and to
But
prove that the promise was there, the second, because you see the Slave One before you see Boba Fett in that episode, and I'm sure everybody else did too. But like I was like that's one of the top like 5 ships in all of Star Wars, like in terms of design and just like overall iconicness. And so it was just like, and maybe that's why they blew up the Razor Crest, because it's like, we got the Slave One, you don't really need the Razor Crest anymore.
yeah, we already have this merch made.
One thing that I think
We're
is
good.
particularly cruel is that every year Lego does an advent calendar, a Lego Star Wars and a Lego City one. And the day after the episode aired, the Lego Star Wars advent calendar was a little Razor Crest. And I just thought that they didn't plan that out, or they did and they're just a-holes. Either way, it was like, what a brutal way to have that be there that weekend.
They're like, we should have made this the first one. What were we thinking?
What were we thinking? Now it's
God.
it's like a shrine you can make.
Yeah. Well, next week is going to be a pair of little Lego baby handcuffs like they put on Grogu at the end of the episode, which I will say, like, it was like both hilarious and horrifying, but just hilarious the fact that they just happen to have that on hand.
Yeah.
But also
They're, like,
horrifying
tiny.
because, like, it speaks to their, like, the Empire was actively hunting down Force-sensitive children so they can do whatever sick Sith science, say that 5 times fast, that Moff Gideon is trying to execute so it can fulfill Palpatine's The Prestige scenario over on Exegol. It's just, yeah, it was a very bleak ending, and one that I appreciated because I love, that's one of the best parts of Star Wars is like, it's that always darkest before the dawn moment, to borrow parlance from another movie. But I'm very excited to see where it goes from here because I love anything that involves putting together a squad. That is exactly what the Mando is going to do. So my final question before we move on is, who else do you think is going to join the Mando, Fennec Shand, and Boba Fett on their quest to spring Grogu and Migs Mayfield, as played by noted space Bostonian Bill Burr? So, Preeti, I want to hear from you. Who do you think we're also going to see join this squad?
I really want Amy Sedaris back. I feel like Amy Sedaris is a mechanic showing up. Like, Mando needs a new ship. Like, she's gonna be super mad about the baby. Like, I feel like I want Amy Sedaris there with, like, her, like, vengeance eyes on, like, furious that someone would dare to hurt little baby Grogu. I think that'd be really fun.
I love Amy Sedaris' character in that.
Will help too, and it's just like, I would be down for any of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, they introduce so many memorable characters on this show that I'd be happy with almost any of them. Maybe one of those fisherman sweater wearing Mon Calamari from the Waterworld they went to. Not that mechanic, though. He was a different species and also a traitor who betrayed baby Grogu.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not the traitor.
He is not invited. He is not invited. But Dorian, who do you hope to see on this eventual Mando Prison Break squad?
I'd love to see Ahsoka return. It might probably be unlikely to happen, but I feel like Rosaria Dawson wouldn't agree to sign up to get that much aesthetic put on her face and have to go through all of that just to show up for one episode. So hopefully she returns again just for a little bit, because, like, I don't know, like, you don't get her and you don't bring Ahsoka to life to not, like, utilize her again. Hopefully you get a spinoff or something. But yeah, I would love for her to come back, like, get her versus Darth, get the Darksaber versus her. I would love for something like that. I don't know, man, but yeah, bring Ahsoka back.
Look, we all know Dave Filoni famously satisfied with seeing Ahsoka Tano once in canon and then never again. So who's to say what can happen? I'm very curious as to what's going to happen in the weeks ahead, and we'll have a breakdown for you right here on Nerdist this coming Friday, so make sure you stay tuned. And if you're not caught up, we have a breakdown of the previous episode you can watch right now.